And everyone was always convinced it was intuition. Everyone was always convinced like she's like a little bit psychic. It was always weird. It was always weird around there.
Well, because
she had a monkey. Did I tell you about her monkey?
No.
She had a monkey.
In New
Chi-Chi.
Jersey?
Yes, in Newark, New Jersey. She had a monkey named Chi-Chi. And Chi-Chi would bite everybody but my grandma.
We had this one exercise in family constellations trainings where she wrote down a scenario on a piece of paper, and there was a few of them, right? So she wrote down the scenario and she folded it up. We were not allowed to look at what was inside of the paper, and we were just supposed to intuitively feel into the energy of the paper, feel into the scenario, and allow the field to communicate to us what was going on in that dynamic. Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Alexis. For anybody who doesn't know, welcome if you're new, or welcome back if you have been here before. I am the author of A Journey into Truth, Unveiling Life's Secrets for Truth Seekers, and this book talks all about the last 6 years of my life, my spiritual journey, the awarenesses I've come to because of the many experiences and teachers I've come across along my journey. So if you're interested in learning more about that book, you can visit my website, www.vibratecreate.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Vibrate2Create. Here on Vibrate to Create, I talk about all things spiritual and metaphysical. I also talk about my own personal life experiences, the awarenesses I've come to because of those experiences. I make reaction videos to things like spiritual teachers, spiritual teachings, inspirational, motivational, and sometimes funny videos. And I also make entrepreneurial videos letting you guys know how to self-publish your own books. She's just having the time of her life. So today I'm going to be reacting to Joe Rogan again, and I've already reacted to Joe Rogan, so if you want to look back at the past ones I've done. But today I got recommended this Joe Rogan video with Joey Diaz, and it's on intuition, and I'm very well versed, I would say, in ideas of intuition and psychism and the occult or metaphysics, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm excited about this one. It's only about 12 minutes long because it's a short clip from the full podcast. There's birds out there, there's a dog right here, so if you see me throwing a ball, it's because she wants to play. So we're going to be reacting to Joey Diaz and Joe Rogan today on intuition. So it's just a short clip, and let's see what they have to say, and then I will interject with my ideas or my thoughts or things I've learned from my experiences. But we'll see how this goes because I haven't seen it yet. I just use my intuition to talk about whatever I feel is the right thing to talk about afterwards. All right.
The Joe Rogan experience.
I can do.
My grandmother was one of the few people I've ever known where I legitimately thought they had intuition. She has weird intuition. She would do things. It was real weird. Like when my mother was a kid, there was a rainstorm. It was like a real bad rainstorm. And for whatever reason, my grandmother decided to wake my mother up, take her out of her bed, and bring her downstairs. Some crazy hunch that she had. The ceilings collapse, like right above the bed where my mom was sleeping. So like pieces of, it wasn't a lot. It was just chunks of plaster. But like, 3 or 4 pretty significant pieces of plaster fell off of the ceiling. It was rain came through it, the whole deal. Like the ceiling gave out. Somehow or another, she had this idea in her head. And it could be because she knew that the ceiling was fucked up, and she knew it was raining hard, and it was probably going to give in anyway. Or she might have had intuition. And everyone was always convinced it was intuition. Everyone was always convinced like she's like a little bit psychic. It was always weird. It was always weird around there.
Well,
she had a
because
monkey. Did I tell you about her monkey?
No.
She had a monkey.
In New
Chi-Chi.
Jersey?
Yes, in Newark, New Jersey. She had a monkey named Chi-Chi. And Chi-Chi would bite everybody but my grandma. My grandfather made her keep the monkey in the attic. Yo, my grandma was crazy. She had a monkey who would open up packages of gum and chew gum.
Listen, when I was a kid, man, I went to my buddy's judo school. I didn't join. I just went down there to see what it was like. And it was hidden in Union City. It was on 7th Street. But I knew that my stepdad played cards on 9th Street on Wednesdays.
Wow.
Okay, I knew my stepdad played cards down there. They played baccarat, okay, and they'd gamble in this little club. And I had to be maybe 10, but because I grew up how I grew up, and with the numbers, I always had my eyes out as a kid. When I went to judo that night, at the end, I got in the bus to go back, and I noticed unmarked police cars. And I went home that night. And look, bro, you know me, dog. Get Christy Love used to be a show on ABC about a black chick.
Right.
And I said to him, I said, hey, man, today I went down there to go to Martin's judo school, and I saw a bunch of unmarked cars down there. If I was you, I wouldn't go out to that. And he fucking just looked at me. He said, I love you. And he walked down the stairs. He got in the car, started it, opened the garage, bro. And 10 minutes later, I heard the car turn off and the garage closed, and he came up and he goes, I think you're right. And he made Sundays for me and him. And next morning, that card place had got raided. So now they would listen to me when I was a kid. I had these fucking morons under my spell, right? After I saved that night with the Baccarat, he would listen to me. And then one day I went and I signed up for Biddy basketball in Union City. And they used to give, you know, like now, if you sign your kid up, you got to pay $80. And
Right.
in those days, you just show up with an address.
Right.
And they gave you a T-shirt, they put you on the team, and they gave me a number. They said, like, Union City Department of Recreation. It was a purple shirt. My number was 57. I walked in the house, and he goes, what do you got there? And I go, oh, I joined the basketball thing. And he goes, what number is it? He goes, 57. Cubans, again, are very superstitious. 57. He goes, put a number on that. And he picked up the phone. I go, 5. He called some guy, and he goes, give me 557 for $10. Guess what happened, Joe Rogan?
What happened?
The number came out. Now I really had him under my spell, right?
Get the fuck out of
Listen,
here.
I had this motherfucker at the age of 12. So he would listen to me and shit.
How old was the guy?
My stepfather, Juan, at the time, was 47.
Well, that was an interesting take on intuition. I love it though. I love hearing stories about people's lives and just what they've experienced and what they've seen in the world. So that was fun. That was fun to watch. So there's not much to talk about other than, I guess, my own personal experiences with intuition. And I would say I'm very intuitive. And it's developed a lot more over the years as I've learned to trust those kinds of callings and kind of understand and also interpret energy in a different way. And especially in family constellations, I would say that has been a really big helpful tool for my development, because you have to become so absolutely present and like completely be aware of every single nuance in energy. So when you're feeling your client, you have to feel for when they're leaving their body, because that's when they can't take in any more information within their family system. So you have to be very present for when people are leaving their body, or when you feel that their energy is not present inside of this specific scenario. And like you understand so much about, like, okay, this is connected with the father, or this is connected with the mother, and then sure enough the constellation will kind of bring it all in together and show that's exactly what's going on. And I've only done 1 year of trainings in family constellations. I'm about to begin my 2nd year, so I'm very much still learning. And like my teacher has been doing it for 15 years, so, and she said she's still learning, so it's kind of an eternal process of unfolding and learning more. But anyways, like, let me see. We had this one exercise in family constellations trainings where she wrote down a scenario on a piece of paper, and there was a few of them, right? So she wrote down the scenario and she folded it up. We were not allowed to look at what was inside of the paper, and we were just supposed to intuitively feel into the energy of the paper, feel into the scenario, and allow the field to communicate to us what was going on in that dynamic. So we each got our papers, everyone who was in the class, and we sat down and we tuned in and really just became very present within the field. I call it the field, it's the energy field, and the field for family constellations that Bert Hellinger calls it. So we had our papers, we were sitting down, and we kind of tuned into the energy. It had something to do with like a mother who lost a child in a war or something like that. Like it was something very specific and something where you could definitely feel an emotion. So she gave us these papers, and I got this paper, and I could immediately feel that emotion moving through, and I knew the essence. And I said, it feels like mother, and it feels like this, blah blah blah. And then after everybody went through and talked about what they were experiencing, especially because in family constellations it's very experiential, like you can feel the emotions move through, and especially as you do it over time, you become more sensitive and more present within each of the different feelings and emotions and how you process that information. So everyone went through and talked about what they experienced and what they understood about the thing before we looked at them. And then she said, okay, go ahead and look at them. And we looked at them, and every single one of us were like spot on about what it was trying to communicate, what the scenario was, and not just that, but also the emotion that was processing or moving through. So that's kind of like one tiny little instance where I can display what intuition is for me, and as I've learned it, as I've been developing. But family constellations is very much like that throughout every single constellation and every time we do a workshop or a facilitation. So that's been a very helpful tool for development. But other than that, within my own life, I would say intuition about things I don't necessarily understand, like beginning this business and writing my book. It was very following that intuition, following that guidance to begin this journey, take these steps, do this next, pay for this thing next, and do it this way. And I would say that has led me to so many beautiful teachers. I would not be in the field of family constellations if I had not followed my intuition all along my path, because it was almost like every single step along the way had to happen before the next thing before the next thing that I was ready for would come to me. So like first learning about meditation, then first learning about Buddhism, and then learning about retreats, and learning about sound meditations, and then someone talking to me about a spiritual festival, and then that spiritual festival teaching me about all these other different ideas, and then going into psychism and mediumship. And it almost seems like all of that had to happen, and all that development had to happen before I would end up learning about family constellations and eventually helping other people with it, and working through my own things, because I'm still very much developing and learning about myself and some of the things that I have to process on my own. And by processing my own stuff, I'm better able to understand other people's things as well. So it's been a journey. It's been quite a journey. But I'm very much a believer in intuition and knowing things before they happen. I feel like I have that very much. Like, what is that called? Prophetic prophecies, like knowing, prophetic vision. What is that called? Anyways, yeah, I definitely believe in intuition, and I know there's lots of people in the world that are like, there's no such thing as a psychic, like they're frauds, I don't believe it. And I understand where they're coming from, because I was kind of like that at the beginning of my own journey as well. And over time, it took some proof, it took some of my own experiences of understanding these things before I was like, okay, I can believe now. Like, I'm not a person who's like, oh, I'll believe anything you say, you know, just because you said it, or just because I want to believe. It's like, I feel like I'm a very much like a prove it to me kind of person, or like show me some evidence and then I'll believe. Very scientific, kind of like a what is that called? Like the scientific method where you test it and then you see what is the outcome, and then you test your own intuition, and you say, okay, well, okay, I just got this awareness that this person's about to get over, and you test that awareness and you say, okay, if that was intuition, then it's gonna happen. And when it happens, you say, okay, there is the proof. So yeah, I don't doubt it at all. And I would say, if you doubt it, if you don't believe in it, go research, go learn from some psychics, go learn from some people who are in mediumship, and keep an open mind as well. Because if you go in there already with your eyes shut, closed, and you're like, I'm not gonna believe it, I'm not gonna believe it, then it's very easy to kind of psych yourself out, or be like, oh, I don't know about that, even though you can have like information or evidence right in front of your face, you can be like, oh, but maybe they were doing some kind of hypnotic technique and they were reading me and they were doing this thing and they're liars, or they Googled me before I came. So I would say learn, research, and some people are much more talented than others. Not necessarily talented, that might not be the right word, but more practiced, more developed, or more in tune, because each of us has been on our own developmental journey, and some are a little bit farther along in their journey. Some came into the world with a bit of a higher sensitivity. Some people have practiced more with themselves before they decided to go out and do it for others. Like, every single person who decides to go on the journey of doing it for others or helping others in that way has been on their own journey of development, and has also, my teacher says, you can only take someone as far as you have gone. So let's say on your own healing journey or your own journey of self-development, you've only been able to go this way. That's as far as you can take someone else in their own journey. So the deeper you can go, the more you can develop within yourself, the more you're able to really look at and process your own things that need to be processed, the farther along you can take somebody else. And there are many tools, different modalities that people have under their belts, and it's like putting in different like ingredients in their own soup of a recipe. So every single psychic is different, and I would say ask them what their developmental journey has been like. Ask them what teachers they've had. Ask them if they've gone to the UK and developed with mediums and psychics there. I haven't, but ask them if they know of people who have. Ask them what their groups have been like, if they've done mediumship groups. Ask them how long they've been in the field. And then if that doesn't work out, find another one and keep going on your own journey, or try to develop within yourself and really find those answers from within, and not depend on a psychic or a medium, because that's a big thing as well. Some people can kind of fall into is trying to find guidance from outside, when in reality each of us has access. So I'm very much an advocate for develop for yourself, see for yourself, and then see for yourself, and then come back and tell me it's not real. But if you want to believe it's not real, I can't convince you. And I won't try either, because that's not my job. My job is just to share the information I've learned, the experiences I've learned, and to teach what I know from where I'm at currently in my development. So that is what I have to say about intuition today. I think that's all for today. This was a little bit of a shorter video, but I really wanted to film something today. It's a beautiful day outside. Stella was really excited, wanted to play, so that's why you're probably hearing all these noises and seeing me throw the ball. So I have to go feed her and take her for a walk. So I'm gonna head out. It was good to speak with you guys. I hope you got something from this. I hope you decide to go on your own journey of discovery, learning, self-development, even if it's not necessarily spirituality, but just self-development and seeking to understand the self, and seeking to understand what a meaningful life means to you, what a joyful life means to you, and never stopping at one place and saying, I fully got it, I fully know everything there is to know in the whole world, because there is so much to learn. Always, always, always. Alright, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you'd like for me to react to next, you can leave that down below in the comments for me, and I would appreciate that, because I'd like to know what you guys like to see. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.